Hello and welcome to Big Dash Knows. Big Dash knows what? New York Giants football. Let's go. You see the thumbnail. We're talking about the identity of the New York Giants, or the lack of an identity for the New York Giants. Now, this is a big question. This is a big topic. There's been interviews, news reports. I talked about Michael Lombardi in the previous video, and it kind of triggered this conversation as well, because I'm hearing a lot of people talk about the identity of the New York Giants. And I would be lying if I told you guys that the New York Giants have an identity, because truth be told, right now, at this point in time, we do not have an identity. And it's for a couple of reasons. Now, you could say, for the period of time that Saquon Barkley was a New York Giant, that was the identity of the New York Giants. We were the New York Saquon Barkleys. He was the focal point. John Mara said he's our most popular player, and that's true. But when you think about like the really good New York Giants teams, when you think about the Super Bowl winning teams, and when the New York Giants are good, when you think about those teams, in my opinion, it's the defense. It's getting back to the defense for the New York Giants. That's the identity of the New York Giants. When you think about the New York Giants, every time, you try to focus on the offense, whether if it was Odell Beckham, the teams weren't very good. But when you think about, and even as long as Eli Manning was here, Eli Manning being who he was, he still wasn't necessarily the identity of the New York Giants, especially when things went well. But I'm talking about when things go well, and you think about those Super Bowl winning teams, you're thinking about the guys on defense. You're thinking about LT, Carl Banks, Leonard Marshall, those guys. You know what I mean? You're thinking about Strahan, OC, Tuck, JPP, You're thinking about the defense, even though, you have your Eli Mannings, you have your Plaxico Burress, the Victor Cruzes, the Hakeem Nicks, Brandon Jacobs, Ahmad Bradshaw, the whole Earth, Wind and Fire deal. Even though you had that, even when we had Jeremy Shockey, like, it always went to the defense as far as the identity for the New York Giants. So when I'm fast forwarding to the 2024 season, and I'm looking around to try to find exactly what the identity of the New York Giants could be, I have to lean to the defense. Where our best stars are, where? On the defense. Our all-pro players, where? On the defense. Borderline all-pro, Pro Bowl, they're all on the defense right now. So when I look at Dexter Lawrence, I look at Bobby Okereke, I look at Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau. That's who I'm looking for, or looking at, to get the identity of the New York Giants. What is in their DNA? What is their personality? Dexter Lawrence is probably one of the nicest, toughest, meanest, but still nice, will kick your butt and smile in your face type of guy. I love that. Do I wish he was a little bit more mean? Absolutely, but that's not his style. He's the type that whoops your butt and tells you a joke after. That's who Dexter Lawrence is. Kayvon Thibodeau has a mean streak in him. He has an I don't care streak in him. And if he's getting off, pause, then you see more and more of that with the celebration. But he still likes to dance a little bit. Even when you look at Brian Burns, fantastic pass rusher. Even his celebrations that has the Spider-Man themes and stuff like that. Bobby Okereke is super quiet. You see a little bit of burst of energy here and there, but that's the identity of the New York Giants. Tough defense, strong defense, punishing defense. That's the identity of the New York Giants. No matter how many people try to come here, the coaching staff, regimes to try to change to make it, offensive powerhouse. I don't know if the New York Giants will ever be a powerhouse on offense. And even if they are the powerhouse that they are on offense, is if that's really their identity. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm just thinking, like, if you have to point to something right now and say that's the New York Giants, That's going to be my answer, is the defense. It has to be. And there's question marks about being able to stop the run. There's question marks about Brian Burns and, how many sacks he had, and then, how much we paid him. And, he's on the cusp of being one of those guys, or he might fall short. Listen, man, it's about team building. And when you add Brian Burns, not just adding Brian Burns to add Brian Burns, but when you add Brian Burns and he's opposite Kayvon Thibodeau, in the middle is Dexter Lawrence. Second level is Bobby Okereke. You got one corner that you believe is a dog in Deonte Banks. When you're adding pieces to the puzzle, you're adding pieces, not just individual. You're adding pieces to fit the bigger picture. So they are building a team, especially on this defense. They are building a team, and again, a lot of these guys are going to be here for a while. You got Kayvon Thibodeau for at least 3 more years, 2 years, and then the 5th-year option, depending on how he plays. Brian Burns, 5-year deal. Dexter Lawrence has got his big deal. Bobby Okereke, you're probably going to want to get him re-signed, probably get him extended, probably more sooner than later. But Deonte Banks is a rookie. You're hoping that some of the guys that we drafted are going to be big parts. Tyler Newman, Cordell Flott, if he can step up. There's pieces here, and there is team building happening. Now, on the offensive side, you can have there's a lot more question marks. But as far as the defense goes, I think that's the identity of the New York Giants, man. They talk about not being able to stop the run. So you went and got a DC known to be able to stop the run. Well, okay, not only do we need the coach that can give you the scheme to stop the run, do we have the players to stop the run? And I kind of agree with it. Again, I thought we should have went with a D tackle in the draft. We didn't go that route. But you picked up Jordan Phillips. You still have Jordan Riley. You picked up Nacho. Still not sure exactly, what he's going to do. DJ Davidson, Ryder Anderson, guys like that. You got guys that you can throw out there to play next to Dex, right? And it's all about the stuff working out at the end of the day. I understand that. But no matter what we do, because had we had drafted that defensive tackle, we would have been talking about the other edge, the other side, and pass rush. So there's always maybe not always a hole to fill, but there's always going to be something to complain about. That's something that I learned a long time ago, especially in this fan base. There's always going to be something to complain about. There's always going to be something that you don't agree with. But with that being said, there's also things that I do agree with. There's also holes that were filled. And I think that regardless of how you feel about what's going on this offseason, and then with the behind the scenes, fly on the wall type of access we're getting with Hardknocks, a lot of people are either feel more the same way that they felt before. Some people have changed, and some people have, given up. I should say that, because a lot of people feel like, or I feel like a lot of people have given up when it comes to, the 2024 season. But I'm going to remain to be the person that I am. I'm going to look at the glass as half full, not half empty. I'm going to point out what Brian Burns can do versus what he can't do, what Kayvon Thibodeau can be versus what he can't be or hasn't done yet, what Dexter Lawrence is and what he can continue to be. Bobby Okereke, how he's the best middle linebacker we've had here for a long time, maybe since Antonio Pierce, a good, solid, young cornerback in Deonte Banks, who has the swag, who has the skill set, who has the mentality that we need for the New York Giants. It's all about fitting those other pieces around that, because you do have the building blocks of a great defense. Maybe not necessarily a great team yet, but you have the building blocks. The pieces are there, for a great defense. And guess what? You don't need every player to be A+. Some guys are going to be a B, a C+. Some guys, that's just the nature of the business. But if those guys that are the leaders of the team can help motivate these other players to play their best, or to give 110% every time they get a snap, you will see things fall in line. So it's not about just having A players in every spot, because no team has A players in every spot. There are some C players and B players all around these rosters when it comes to the NFL. And the New York Giants just need to find out who those B, and C plus players are going to be. And again, we don't know what Flott is yet exactly. We don't know what Trey Hawkins is exactly. We threw him to the Wolves last year. We don't know what Tyler Nubin is exactly. Dane Belton kind of have an idea what where it's going with that. But there's a lot of players, and again, we look at this team like, they don't have any depth. No, it's unknowns, because at any point in time, somebody can step up. We didn't know what Micah McFadden was, or we had an idea of what Micah McFadden was, and guess what? He stepped up, and now he becomes that linebacker next to Bobby Okereke, and nobody's really worried about it anymore. Can Cordell Flott, Trey Hawkins do that in the CB2 spot? Can Nick McLeod do that in the secondary as well? Can Tyler Nubin really step in and be a guy that progresses into like the next Xavier McKinney? I don't even want to put that pressure on him, because we know Tyler Nubin, as far as his skill set goes, he has all the talent in the world and is built in that same mode as a McKinney. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we picked him as high as we did. But I'm just saying, man, when it comes to the New York Giants, just to wrap this thing up and talking about their identity, it's about the defense. New York Giants will always be known as a defensive team. Whenever we're good, the defense is very good. And I think that's the biggest identity for the New York Giants. Now, I hope we can get to an explosive offense. Absolutely. Malik Neighbors, can he be, our next Odell Beckham or Victor Cruz, Hakeem Nicks? Can he give us all that? You know what I mean? Can he be our Plaxico Burress? Can he take this offense over? Possibly so. But that offensive line is a big has a big part in what these guys can do, and obviously the quarterback position, good quarterback play, is right there as well. But that's going to be the video talking about the identity of the New York Giants. Again, it's all about the defense for me. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think the identity of the New York Giants should be, because again, I don't believe we have that identity yet, but that's the way that I'm leaning. So I want to thank everybody for vibing with me. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And from one Giants fan to another, this is Big Dash Knows, Big Blue Nation. Let's go.